This is the Pat Nat Cast, a podcast hosted by Pat Nat Games. Today I'm joined by Sten. He is known for his massive collaboration videos, such as every Nintendo series explained video, which is done for charity, as well as his upcoming video on the top 100 indie games you should play, also done for charity, also a massive collaboration. Sten, welcome to the show.
Hello, nice to meet you.
Thank you. Oh, it's great to actually talk to you in person too. We've chatted off the mics for a bit now, so it's nice to actually hear your voice in my headphones. It's also worth mentioning that you don't just do those massive collaboration projects. You also have the Sten Extended channel where you do more collaboration projects, to my understanding. You're just
Sometimes.
a social guy with the other creators. You pull everyone in.
I've kind of learned about myself that I work a lot better when it comes to like entertainment when I have other people to bounce off of. I tend to bring other people on for that reason.
Yeah, I feel a bit of a similar kinship, not because I make collaborations as massive as yours, but over my time on YouTube, I've always leaned towards being the host of things as opposed to being the invitee. And I think once you start, it's like you're pretty much just become the forever host. Once you start like organizing those things, it's like everyone just kind of expects you to bring them in. It's I don't know. I feel like I don't actually get invited to that many things as opposed to just me hosting and bringing everyone else in. Do you feel that similarly at all, or
Oh, 100%.
yeah? It's
Yeah.
just weird how that works. I'm also a dungeon master for Dungeons and Dragons, so it's part of my brand now to just host things. I can't escape it. Um, I've got a couple icebreaker questions for you, just to help the audience get to know you and help us get to know each other a little bit more. Trying to tailor it a little bit towards your taste. So my first question, clearly you like indie games and you play a lot of indie games. A lot of the content on your channel is based on indie games. And this is a Nintendo podcast, so I'm just curious, what would be some of your indie game recommendations for the Switch or Switch 2 specifically? Because I know I have some indie games I love playing on PC, and then some that I love playing on Switch, and some don't cross as well, right? Just as a small example, and I'm just rambling to give you some time to think about an answer, but just a small example is one game I love is like Mindustry, and I don't think Mindustry is even available on the Switch, but I can't imagine working the interface with a controller in that way, right? While there's other games where I feel like they almost belong on the Switch. Anytime a 3D platformer that's an indie game comes out, I feel like, oh, this seems like a great Switch game to play. I'm curious if you had any laundry lists or just recommendations for Switch-based indie games.
Well, the thing for me is like the main thing that I play my games on is on my Switch. So if a game is on the
Okay,
Switch, I will most likely get it on there.
sure, sure.
um, because most of the time when I play a game, I prefer to use a controller over a keyboard. There's a few
Right.
exceptions to this rule when it comes to video
Yeah,
games, like Minecraft's a big example. I would never be able to play that on a console. If I've
sure.
played it
Yeah.
so many times on keyboard that it's just hard for me to go back. You know what I mean?
Java, I assume.
Yes, of course.
Okay, okay. I was like, I don't know if I should hold my tongue. You have to make sure first before getting
Of course, of course.
too in depth about Minecraft.
Some of my favorite indie games, though, if this helps at all, would be Hollow Knight, which is my favorite game of all time. Not even just indie game, but like
Sure.
video game period.
Not a bad choice. Not outlandish at all.
Yeah, I've been trying to beat Silk Song, but I was not anticipating how hard that would be.
Yeah. Well, funny enough, not to derail it too much, but I barely got through Hollow Knight. Like I'm not even. I'm a really not good at hard games. So when I heard Silk Song was even harder with longer runbacks, I was like, you know what? This might be something that is just not for me. But I did really enjoy my time with Hollow Knight, and I
Yeah.
played it on the Switch. And what I liked about it on the Switch specifically is I don't take my Switch anywhere, but I do like that I could just pull it out of the dock, don't have to worry about connecting it to the TV, and just play it in between whatever I'm working on. So I found it helpful that because the bosses were so hard in Hollow Knight, I would pick it up, do a couple attempts at a bosses, get my butt kicked, put the Switch down, get back to work, and just do that until I actually grind through the whole game just that way. So I think that's actually a great game to have on the Switch, basically.
My history with Hollow Knight's a little bit interesting because I had first bought it on the Switch like I want to say like 4 years ago. I tried it, I'm like,
Okay.
this is all right. I don't know if it's really for me though, so I dropped it, and then on a whim, like a year and a half later, I'm just like, I'll boot it up again, and all of a sudden, bam! Now it's my favorite game of all time.
And then it clicked.
It finally
It was like
clicked.
a puzzle piece filling a hole that you didn't know you had. It just
Yeah, exactly.
it's Hollow Knight. Yeah.
Like
No,
Hollow
that
Knight
happens to me with a lot of games.
single-handedly got me into Metroidvanias. Like,
Oh, that's great. I love to hear that. For me it was vice versa. I love Metroidvanias, and then I got into Hollow Knight, and then I never thought I would sit through I know it's some people would criticize me for even saying a Souls-like game, but to sit through a Souls-like game, I would never do beforehand. But because I played Metroidvanias and I got into Hollow Knight, next thing I know, I ended up playing Elden Ring, and I don't think I'm going to get much further than that into Souls-like, but it was the genre that sold me, while it was the game that sold the genre, which is cool.
yeah, I had never played a Metroid game before that, and then
And
afterwards
now,
I played Super Metroid, Metroid Dread, Metroid
right.
Fusion, Metroid, whatever
And now
the
you
other
know
one
that
was.
Metroid's just it's just the best series ever now. So, and it's great that you know that. I'm glad we're in agreement there.
And of course, some other
I
Metroidvanias like Bloodstained and Haiku the Robot, both of which are indie games. Shocker.
Yeah, Bloodstained is also Souls-like, correct? Is that the one I'm thinking of?
I don't know if I would say Souls like.
Okay.
I didn't find it all too difficult personally.
Okay. Okay. I could be mistaken then. I've only heard the name, haven't heard much else about it. But
Yeah, I actually like most Souls like games. I just I don't have the patience for. I've tried the original
yeah,
Dark Souls, well, Dark Souls remastered, but I just like, yeah, this the gameplay is just a little too slow and clunky for my liking. I get why people like
yeah,
it, it's just not for me.
yeah. I feel Souls games are weird because my idea of game critique directly conflicts with their purpose of existing, which is this idea of uh things being unfair to the point where you have to restart to recognize the patterns in order to beat it. It feels unintuitive learning to me, but when the flip side is that is the point of Dark Souls games, is that you learn the pattern, and that's part of the gameplay. So it kind of breaks my brain in trying to address it, which is just a way to boil down to say Souls games are just not for me. But I totally respect their right to exist, and I can appreciate that style of play, even if there's no way I can get through most of it.
Yeah, that's exactly where
But
I'm at.
as we move on from the now very Souls-like heavy discussion, I do have another icebreaker question for you. I understand you've recently been on a bit of a Sonic games crusade, possibly an ambitious and admirable crusade to play through every single Sonic game. Is that your ultimate goal?
Every mainline Sonic game.
Mainline. Okay, gotcha.
Whatever
So
I deem as mainline.
Oh, sure. I mean, you are the ultimate judge of this manner, but I don't play many Sonic games. I have played some. I'm just very curious. In your experience of playing through all these Sonic games, are there ones that you would absolutely recommend people who don't play Sonic games play? Or are there ones that you absolutely recommend people don't play for those who aren't familiar with Sonic at all?
So a lot of the answers that I would probably have are probably ones that you would hear from a lot of other Sonic fans, but I feel like they're
Sure.
worth stating anyway. Ironically, one of
Okay.
them is the first Sonic game that I beat, and is still my personal favorite of all time, Sonic
Okay.
Mania.
Sure.
I absolutely love that game. It is also my favorite video game soundtrack of all time.
Okay. Yeah,
I think it
Sonic
just
knows how to do
perfects.
the soundtracks.
I think it just does 2D Sonic perfectly, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I know
Sure.
there's a common complaint where it comes to relying too much on zones that they've used in the past, but I feel like they do enough with it to where you're still
Right.
having a good time when you play it.
For sure. Yeah, I've played it a little bit, and I've had a good time with it. I really should come back to it at some point. But yeah, that's a great answer. And as for ones that people should stick away from,
Shocker, Sonic Forces sucks. Don't play it.
okay, gotcha. Good to know.
If you really want to, you could literally beat the game. You could buy the game on Steam, beat it in less than 2 hours, and get a refund. I haven't
That
done
sounds
that,
like a
but
really
I've
fun
heard that
challenge.
people can do that.
Yeah, that could be its own speedrunning category. Like you try to beat it specifically so that you can return it, and they time in the time it takes to click the return button into the speedrun.
Yeah.
That'd
Yeah,
be
it
great.
was
It's the
a
cheapest way to
very
learn.
nothing game, all things considered.
Yeah, the Sonic names start to blend together in my head when they come out. So I can't tell if it was like one that people praised or one that didn't praise, but I guess Sonic Forces is one that's more notorious than is what I'm
Yeah,
imagining.
it is. There's still some other
Gotcha.
notoriously bad Sonic games that I have yet to
Oh,
get
sure.
to, like Sonic
Oh,
06,
sure.
but
Yeah.
we'll cross
Best
that
of
bridge
luck
when I
when
get
that one
there.
comes around. Yeah. Well, that's some helpful Sonic input for all of you guys out there. Now you know what to if you didn't know already, I guess steer clear from Sonic Forces and flock towards Sonic Mania, which to my understanding is like a passion project, right? That was like a project made by fans in a way,
Yeah,
right?
it was.
Am I
It
remembering
was
correctly?
Sega hired fans to make their game,
That's really cool.
essentially.
Biggest W Sega's probably ever done. Well, maybe not. I don't know, but it's a big W for sure. Um, Sten, what have you been playing lately? What's been in your library? What's been sticking out to you as of late?
Well, I've got a couple games that I've been kind of bouncing around on. Obviously, there's
Uh
Silk
huh.
Song I mentioned. I have not beaten it yet. It is
Sure.
easily the most intense game I have ever played. I was not anticipating how difficult it would be.
Yeah,
Um,
that
I do
that's what I've been
not
hearing.
I do not recommend anybody play Silk Song before they play the original. The original one is
Yeah.
a very good warm
Right.
up, if you ask me. But the game so far has been absolutely incredible. I feel like an acrobat when I move around and fight things, and it's awesome. Easily
Right.
one of the most some of the most satisfying movement in a video game that I've
That's
played.
good to
And
hear.
trust me, I would know. I've played Mario Odyssey.
Right. Right. So I to quickly jump on that, the movement feels really good. Are you also including like the platforming sections too? Because I know the platform sections can be tricky to get into. Do you still feel very gratified once you're actually into it though?
So I think the thing that you're probably referring to is the pogo in this game. I
That's
will
yeah.
agree.
Thank you for that much better description of what I was asking about.
Yeah. At the beginning of the game, I 100% agree. It is very frustrating to try to nail that.
Uh
But
huh.
again, without spoiling too much for whoever is watching out there, there
Right.
is an item. There are items that you get that will make pogoing a lot easier.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Well, that's good to know. Uh, yeah, Silk Song. I one of those games I really want to appreciate for all the good. I just don't think I'm physically capable of getting there. So maybe that means I should just watch a let's play at some point. Any other games you wanted to mention?
um, I I've got Pokemon Legends ZA on Friday.
Okay.
It's
And
been
how's that
pretty
been?
solid so far. I haven't played a ton of it yet. I'm still kind of in the tutorial, quote unquote. But so
Gotcha.
far, it's pretty solid so far. The gameplay of it's definitely something to get used to, but it's a
Gotcha.
nice change of pace.
Are you a longtime Pokemon fan?
I got into Pokemon in I want to say like freshman year of high school. Be back in
Uh
like
huh.
20 like late 2010s.
Okay.
So relatively speaking, I got into the series at I want to say Gen 6. The first Pokemon game I really got into was Omega Ruby, so I've been around for a little bit.
Gotcha. And
Then the
how
Switch
does
era
this
came
one
around.
feel? Oh, sorry.
The
Continue.
Switch era came around, and I did not like Sword and Shield. I thought
Mm,
Scarlet and Violet was just kind of okay.
right.
And then Legends Arceus came out, like, wow, I love this game now. It's like top
Okay.
three, probably top three.
So Arceus was like the big one for you. Was that and ZA is like a continuation of Arceus in a way, right? Or at least a relatively
Generally
similar
speaking, yeah,
gameplay.
yeah.
Okay.
Generally speaking,
Interesting.
that's why I bought it, is because it was like Legends Arceus.
Right.
So like Omega Ruby got me into the series. Then I fell off when Sword and Shield came out, and then I came back on with Arceus. So I'm like in
Right.
this weird
Now,
limbo.
yeah. What I've been because I'm not into the Pokemon scene much, but what I've been hearing generally about Z through A is that people have some gripes about some of the non gameplay elements. But I've also it seems like whenever people are talking about the gameplay itself, they're generally satisfied. Do you kind of cooperate that or
I kind of agree. I have heard the occasional opinion saying that is one of the Best, one of the best, if not the best looking mainline Pokemon
Uh-huh.
game as of late. But that's also like saying, yeah, this is the best fast food
It's
place.
a low
Like,
bar. Yeah. Yeah, it's a
like
low bar. That's the one thing that
yeah.
I've always known, like not having played the games, whenever I see them announced in footage and directs and stuff, I'm always like, oh, why are these games so ugly? What's going on at Game Freak? And I feel like it's not my fight to fight because I'm not, actually playing the games, but I just always thought that was funny because I was like, man, I remember the sprite works in the DS era. I always thought like the games looked good. I never thought Pokemon games looked bad until they made the jump to Switch, and then I was like, oh, what's happening over here? Maybe I have a hot take, possibly. I don't know if Pokemon ever should have crossed the third dimension. I feel like the ambiguity of having pixel art Pokemon, or even just, more fine illustrations, I feel like it adds a level of mystery to the point where I can kind of accept what the Pokemon looks like in my head. While as soon as it's in 3D and you see, you have to incorporate actual animalistic features like hair and fur at certain points, or different textures in the body, it starts to feel more fake to me in a weird way. While when it's sprites, I just buy it, and singular illustrations. I don't know. Maybe that could be something no one agrees with. I have no idea. But I feel like it's a little jarring seeing Pokemon in 3D. I don't know.
I could kind of see what you're saying. I think I've heard that general statement before.
Uh huh.
I personally don't agree. I think they could
Okay.
have translated it well, but they just didn't do it as well as they should
Okay.
have. I think
More of a
games
swing and
like
a miss.
new Pokemon Snap can prove that like they can make a Pokemon game look good. They're just, you know, not trying as hard as they should in the
Interesting.
mainline era, I guess you could say.
Yeah. Well, maybe it's safe to say Pokemon Snap is the best part about Pokemon, both the original and the new one. Who knows? Um, that's probably not true. I actually have not played the new one, but uh, we'll see how the reception goes with the ZA as time goes on. It's still relatively fresh in people's brains. I like listening to the discourse with popcorn while having no actual stake in the matter. So,
I feel that.
um, Sten, are you ready to get into some headlines?
Sure, let's go for it.
All right. So that's a relatively slow news week. The biggest thing that happened this week has been the big direct for Kirby Air Riders, which is the second Nintendo Direct for Kirby Air Riders, a game that famously had one button until recently. The idea of there being two directs on this game is so funny to me, and it's so Sakurai. Because he loves talking about his stuff, and Nintendo just lets him do it. They just like let him yap, let him run, let him cook. He just release 5 directs for all we care, because he makes really good games, and I'm hoping that it's the same for Kirby Air Riders. Did you have any experience with the original Kirby Air Ride?
I had not played the original Kirby Air Ride.
Okay,
I didn't really have a
so
GameCube or anything growing up, so I never got the chance to play the game. And by the time I was
yeah,
able to be an adult and buy my own games, the game was too dang expensive for me to play it without just getting an emulator, which is fine,
yeah,
but I'd prefer to play on console personally.
sure, and not every computer's can give a proper emulation too. It is worth mentioning that there is a online community of people who play the original Kirby Air Ride online and have tournaments and whatnot. So I've been in their Discord and seen them just get super excited about this series that they thought would never return. Was great. I played it a lot growing up. I played it all the time. I loved it. So hearing this come out, it's been great. Been following along. Just to talk a little bit about some of the stuff that was announced in the direct. Again, oh gosh, it was like an hour long, I believe, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Something like
That's
that. I think it was
insane.
like pretty close.
Yeah. There's not enough here to warrant an hour, but Sakurai really likes to explain every single detail about the smallest things, like online systems, how they work, the licenses, the ranking system, things that are just so boilerplate for every other game out there. Sakurai likes to really hone in on, like, look at what we're doing here, and I'm like, I know, so does every other game. But there were some cool things announced. They officially announced that Top Ride is coming back, which is a side mode that not a ton of people talk about in the original Kirby Ride. It's not the mainstay, but it was a side mode that I thought wasn't coming back, and I was okay with it. It's so fine that its absence would not disappoint me, but it's coming back nonetheless. For those who are fans of Top Ride, there's also the new road trip mode, which it seems like it's kind of in lieu of a campaign. It kind of is a campaign, but essentially you're going to go through various challenges throughout City Trial and various maps and battles. It seems pretty standard campaign. I still think City Trial is what's going to keep people playing most of the time. There's also the swap relay mode. You can basically you can play where you swap vehicles in between laps. I think that's actually kind of cool because the vehicles in Kirby Air Ride, unlike other kart racers, are drastically different from each other. You know, in Mario Kart, if you were to switch one kart from another, the stats might change, but the actual way you play is generally going to be the same, except for highly competitive play. So Swap Relay, I think, is something that's really cool for Kirby specifically, where you can switch between your lineup of vehicles. Also, you can use it to switch between players. Not something I'll probably participate in, but I think that's a neat novelty. There's also the return of the checklist, a massive achievements. Of course, Sakurai always has a big grid of achievements you can unlock, some of which are ridiculously difficult. They're in every Smash Brothers, not every, but in several Smash Brothers, and they were also in the original Kirby Air Ride. There's also 3 new amiibo announced, Meta Knight and King Dedede and Chef Kawasaki. All 3 of these guys have their own vehicles that you can swap them out. I think this is a really cool idea. I don't collect amiibo, but I think the idea is cool that you could swap it out with other stars. Are you an amiibo collector? Does this at all spark your interest?
I wouldn't say I'm amiibo collector, but I do think they're kind of neat. I've bought the occasional one. I think recently I got a handful, like a few, 2 or 3. I think it was like a pack that I got online,
Right.
like secondhand of Splatoon amiibo, because I was into Splatoon 3 not too long ago, having a bit of a phase there. But aside from that, I only really buy ones that are like super interesting to me if I can afford it.
Sure. Does Splatoon have a lot of in-game incentive for the amiibos, or is it more decorative?
More decorative.
I've been noticing that they're kind of moving away from the integration of amiibos within the games, except for very like small things. And I was playing Donkey Kong Bonanza, and I just happened to have a K. Rool amiibo, and I was like, man, I wonder what happens if I scan the K. Rool amiibo in Donkey Kong Bonanza, and just 4 Kong letters appeared, and I was like, that's it. This does nothing for me. So something that's I think is kind of sad for me. I understand that people don't like the FOMO of amiibos having inclusions that you can't get from the base game. So I can understand people being like, well, I already bought the game. Why do I have to have this content like paywalled or whatnot? But the flip side is that I think it's making amiibos less cool by not having as much integration with the games themselves. So it's one of those weird things where it's like you're either like making the players feel left out or you're making amiibo owners feel gypped off, and it's hard to find that balance. But I don't know. I always think that Super Mario Maker on the Wii U did it really well, where every amiibo gave a costume. Not every amiibo, but almost every amiibo gave a specific costume for the game. Something so small, but so much can come from amiibo from that, and I thought that was really cool. They don't really do that anymore, though. It's kind of a shame.
Maybe we'll get it back in the next Mario Maker if they do another one. Which, let's be honest, they probably will.
They probably will, but correct me if I'm wrong. They didn't do it for Mario Maker 2, right? Like they didn't have.
No, they didn't.
All those.
But you know, you never know. You get some. It wouldn't hurt to be a little optimistic.
That's true. That is true. A little optimism has never hurt anyone except sometimes. So, yeah, there's also a big announcement of online stuff. I'm not gonna get into it because I don't care for most of it. But it's cool that you can play online up to 16 players. They also have team battle mode where you can separate into 2 teams of 8 basically. And I if you've played City Trial, that's you can see there's a lot of opportunities where that would aid that style of play. So that's kind of cool. There's also they also have not yet announced a free roam mode, which is kind of crazy to me after Mario Kart already did its own version of free roam. Especially because I don't know, I feel like as a kid I spent a lot of time in free roam in Kirby Air Ride. I probably wouldn't spend that much time in an adult, but I think it would be kind of cool if it had a free roam mode, just because Mario Kart World's free roam mode is oftentimes cited as underwhelming. But even then, it's also not local multiplayer, and I think that was a big missed opportunity for Mario Kart, was not having
Definitely
4-player split screen in open world, which is wild to me because most of my Mario Kart time is split screen. So I would have liked to see that in Kirby, but they didn't announce it, and since they lifted every rock for this direct, I don't think it's coming anytime soon. They also confirmed there's going to be no DLC for Kirby Air Riders, which is surprising to hear in this day and age, and yet I'm also relatively welcome to it. I kind of like the idea of the game existing and then moving on.
Yeah, it's just like, yep, everything is right here.
Yeah,
it's got all it needs.
It's got all it needs. I respect it. It feels like that's a style that has been long gone as games continuously get supported, and with all these live service games out there, it's nice to see Sakurai just be like, yeah, I'm not coming back to this. It also could be Nintendo's like, you can make this game, but you got to get right back to Smash because we need that title, man. We need that title. Maybe who knows? But either way, it's looking like it's gonna be fun. I'm gonna love it. The last thing I want to mention about it is that they're gonna have test runs, basically, where you can try out the city trial online before the game comes out on 2 weekends in November. The week November 8th through November 9th and November 15th through November 16th, you can play the game, a demo of the game, to try it online. I think that's a great idea. It's going to be a great way to get people into the game. So basically, leading up to the release, you can really experience what Kirby Air Riders has to offer. And I'm for one gonna jump on that immediately. I'm very excited to return to this world. So
yeah, it feels like they've been doing. I've been seeing that with a lot of games recently, which is nice to see. Yeah.
Well, the only reason I've played Splatoon is because I joined some of those test fires whenever they would do those. And to this day, that's some of my only experience with Splatoon. Turns out I actually just don't like Splatoon that much, unfortunately. I like it as a spectacle. I can't get into the paint style shooting. But I think this is great, though, to have 2 weekends leading up to the launch. Anything else you wanted to add about Kirby Air Riders?
I don't know if I'll get it on day one, but I probably will get it at some point. After all, it is the Sakurai we're talking about, so judging by how much content it seems that it has, I feel like I could get some enjoyment out of it. Yeah. I'm more of a single player kind of guy, so if there is stuff that's great for single player, then I don't see why I wouldn't enjoy it.
Yeah. That'll be interesting to see. I will say single player's never been Kirby Air Riders' strong suit. But maybe the test drive will convince you. Who knows? Our next headline is a relatively smaller one, but I think it's interesting to talk about just that Nintendo recently. I'll just read the direct tweet. This is from Mike Odyssey. Nintendo just brought back the dead Virtual Console name, and is currently a pending trademark. Are these signs of a new administration's plans? I botched that read so badly, but that's okay. This is interesting. Again, the most likely reason for this is no reason. Nintendo just reinstates trademarks all the time, but it is always fun whenever this happens because you get to speculate, you get into the what ifs. Virtual Console is obviously the method of playing retro games back on the Wii generation all the way up through Wii U to 3DS. They were using the Virtual Console name, and the main reason they probably ditched it is because they were moving towards the subscription model for Nintendo Switch Online. And Virtual Console, the difference obviously was that you get to keep your games. And if I boot up my Wii U, which I do more often than I would expect to, I will still find all of those Virtual Console games that I have installed on there. And if I boot up my 3DS, well, I can't. I lost my 3DS a long time ago, and my new one does not have Virtual Console games. But that's what's cool about Virtual Consoles. You get to keep it for time moving forward. People have not speculated, but like to play with the idea of potentially mixing the NSO or the Nintendo Switch Online subscription with also buying games, where you get to choose to buy games if you already have the subscription or something like that. I don't know. Did you have any thoughts on this?
I am also kind of curious because I wonder if it's a thing that Nintendo would actually do at this current modern day, because I can't help but wonder if if we also sell the games, are we gonna lose money over the subscriptions, or if we are we gonna make any money off of doing Virtual Console?
they really are making bank off of the subscription drip feed model right now, where they
Yeah.
just release like a couple things every month, keep people satisfied, and then next thing you know, you paid for 12 months and they've only released 12 games, and you're like, well, what did I play in those 12 months? But that's what the subscription model is. My only thought is if they have it through where you have to pay for online anyway, and then you can also buy the games, it would feel kind of scummy. It would
I would
also
agree with
probably
that.
be a monetary way where they could still make money off of both ways, basically, without hurting the sales of the subscription. Gosh, I feel bad even saying that because I don't want that to happen. The question is, do you think if that was how they handled this, would you actually, since you have the online anyway, most likely,
I do.
would you still go ahead and buy virtual console games to keep forever?
I don't know if I would personally, because I don't like
Uh-huh.
most of the virtual console games. I don't see myself playing enough to really buy. You know
Okay.
what I mean?
Sure.
Which is one of the I guess because with the subscription service, like compared to other like big ones, it is like all things considered for what you get, it is pretty cheap.
Right.
Like what like I don't remember the price. Isn't it like 40, 50 a year?
I think it's less. I think it's closer to like 25 a year, isn't it?
Well, I
It's
guess it
a
depends on if you get the expansion or not.
Oh, right. Sure. The expansion pass is closer to 50 a year. Yeah.
Yeah. So like that's not too bad. I don't think they've ever upped it.
Well, in a way they upped it by adding the expansion pass, but they
Oh
added
yeah.
incentive for upping it, which is better
Yeah,
than
of
what
course.
a lot of other streaming services do. So,
And
or
it's not even like
subscriptions.
a required upgrade or anything. It's like an
Yeah,
optional upgrade.
right. It's interesting how industry wise it is a good value, and I think it's good that they did that. Otherwise, the subscription model for games would have been under much more scrutiny back when it was originally announced in 2017.
Yeah.
But because they kept it at a pretty good price, and then the only upgrade was if you want additional stuff, uh, that works out. That works out pretty well. I still am not a huge fan of the practice of how they drip feed stuff, and
Oh
I don't
yeah,
know,
me
like
neither.
especially with like Nintendo Music, something that was supposed to be kind of a big W for Nintendo because we've been asking for Nintendo Music to be playable. The way they've gone about adding songs to it is so arbitrary and random to the point where it feels like they're not. It's like you feel your money leaving your pockets quicker than content is being added to it in a way.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I can go back and play Super Metroid whenever I want because I have it, and that's cool. That is cool that I can do that. But I do miss being able to own games on a system and not have to worry about paying for it just because I want to play it years later. I don't have to pay years of money towards that. So I like the idea of virtual console. I agree. I don't think I would partake in it even if I had the Nintendo Switch Online service. Just because most of these games I have bought digitally through previous consoles anyway, to the point where it wouldn't make sense for me to keep buying them. So
Yeah.
who knows? We'll see if anything comes from it. Could just be a usual trademark updating. That just happens. Nintendo likes
Yeah.
its rights. It likes its things its own. But it's nice every once in a while to explore the what ifs.
Another thing that's been
Um,
kind of nice with the Nintendo Switch Online stuff, with the
yeah.
classic games, is if it wasn't for the fact, like if they were all you had to pay for it, there are some games
Uh-huh.
on there that I probably wouldn't have even tried
Right.
because I'm a lot more inclined to try a game, even if it's a game that I end up not liking. At least I am giving it a shot because it's there. I can access
Right.
it easily. I don't have to spend any extra money.
Yeah.
It makes it easier for me to try some new experience without having to
Yeah.
fork up some extra cash.
That's what's really interesting about Nintendo Online is that at every avenue you can think to yourself, well, I already have it anyway, so I might as well partake in this, right?
Yeah,
And to the point where you might not even be able to know like which is the service you're actually paying for the online for. It's just, oh, well, I use all of them. So it's that is a sign of good value, as far
yeah,
as industry subscriptions go. That's got to be one of the best. I remember Xbox Gold being like what, $50 a month or something like that back in the day. And I never had an Xbox or anything, but I would always hear that and think like, why would I pay $50 just to play online like every month, you know? And then Nintendo came in and was like, hey, we're gonna totally change the game and make this way worth your price. We're not gonna give you good servers, but we will you know, yeah, I still a little salty about the whole Smash servers never being halfway decent. That's unfortunate. But either way, Mario Kart works fine with their servers. So
yeah.
The next headline, we're getting into some DLC territory. Speaking of Virtual Console, and I'm sure we mentioned DLC earlier. Oh, speaking of Kirby not having DLC, there you go. That's a better segment.
Yeah, there we go.
According to mynintendonews.com, Donkey Kong Bonanza will feature monthly in-game events with the DLC. So recently, Donkey Kong Bonanza had some very early DLC added, and it's not something that I plan on getting, but part of the reason I wasn't playing on it is because I felt like the value of it was not worth how much they were charging for it. $10 for the Gem Rush and the DK Isles was just not speaking to me. I do think it's interesting that they're now adding more incentives after the fact by having monthly in-game events that correlate with that DLC specifically. So I guess this kind of goes back to that amiibo thing I was talking about earlier, where you have to toe the line of not giving core players fear of missing out because they don't want to buy the DLC, while also giving the DLC people more things to enjoy. I think in this case, I feel the more value you can add to the DLC, the better, even if it's not something that the core players can partake in, basically, because ultimately the ones that are actually putting the cash forward are the ones I feel like should get priority in terms of what they're getting for that cash put forward. So I think it's neat that they're adding in-game events. Do I think that changes how I feel about the DLC? No, I don't think it adds much to the value of DLC at all. I've never participated in these so-called monthly events. Anything that's like single player with external online stuff added to it, I don't really care. I didn't really care about Mario Odyssey leaderboards or anything like that. So this feels similar to that. I don't care about the Smash Brothers events that go on where they do the spirits that correlate with the events. Never been my cup of tea. Did you have any thoughts about this one?
Yeah, I never really like even from the first announcement, I was just like, I don't really know if this is a DLC that I want to buy. Like even before
Right.
the price was really revealed, I was
Right.
like, this game mode feels cool, but like I don't know if this is the thing I see myself like playing for hours on end and probably be the
Yeah.
type of thing where I just like try once and like that was alright, and then just move on with my day. I liked
Yeah.
DK
Now.
Bonanza. I thought it was really good. I think to
Yeah.
me
Sure.
personally, I thought it was like a solid 8 out of 10 minimum. But like I just don't really see myself getting the DLC.
Well, and it's the game already feeds you so much, so it's like we've already experienced so much of the game just through the base game. To release DLC so soon after we're like, well, we just finished it. Like we literally just finished it, and you're already throwing DLC. It feels like early to add it, but then of course it also brings up speculation that it was like, well, how much of this DLC was finished before the game released that they just cut out of the game and wait to release after, which would be not a consumer friendly tactic. So it's I think it was one of those things where it's just poor timing to release the DLC.
Yeah,
Also, it doesn't help that it's not an actual new layer with the DK Islands. You know, if they added a whole new layer or set of sub layers with DK Islands, then that's an easy convince for me, just because I'm a sucker for the DK Island. They were playing the DKIL music, which was from Donkey Kong 64. I grew up with that game. I'm crazy nostalgic for it. So I was all on board for a second. And then as soon as I heard what's actually inside the island and how it's nothing, I was like, okay, never mind. I'm not interested anymore. So, and
yeah,
then of course the $10 price tag is just steep no matter how you look at it. So,
yeah,
uh,
definitely.
we'll see how these events go. We'll see if they're worth any value, or if people revere them at all, or if the most likely scenario, people just don't care. I think that's what's going to ultimately happen. Speaking of caring, but this time for people who do, the next bit of DLC we're talking about, you can applaud me for my transitions later. It's okay. You don't have to do it on call. Pikmin 4, a game that came out in 2023, a fantastic game. I love the Pikmin series, and Pikmin 4 was fantastic. Not my favorite Pikmin game, but still fantastic, I think. It's getting a free content update out of nowhere. I was not expecting this to happen. Essentially, according to Nintendo Life, they're basically adding decorative Pikmin that can wear various objects on their bodies to be decorative. I imagine this is not going to be all 100 of them, probably like one or two. One or two per Pikmin type is my understanding of how this is going to work. They'll also have direct compatibility with Pikmin Bloom, where you can transfer your squad between Pikmin Bloom and Pikmin 4, or maybe it's just one way. I'm not sure. It's not incredibly clear, I don't think. But it's kind of neat, kind of out of nowhere. Pikmin Bloom is very popular in Japan, so I think that's part of their reinstating the Pikmin brand, is just by feeding life into the actual game again. I don't know. Did you have any thoughts about this? There's not much to go over, but
yeah, Pikmin's been a series I've been meaning to get into at some point. My most experience I have with it is I got the Pikmin 1 re-release, remaster, whatever it's called, on the Switch. Played it for like an hour or so. I'm like, yeah, this is kind of fun. But then I got sidetracked by other games. By the time I came back to it, I'm like, okay, I have no idea what I'm doing. And I just haven't played it since.
It's a game that demands more attention than you'd expect, you know? It's like, it's the kind of, like, when you look at the pictures of the cute little Pikmin, you don't expect all of the level of engagement that has to be in your head when you play. Like, it's hard to just zone out and play. You have to pretty much actively be thinking. And I think that's always been tough for new people to get into it, is that it's more daunting than you would expect. You know, there's so many intricacies that you have to keep track of. So yeah, it's always been a tough one to get people into. I guess Pikmin 4 did a relatively good job at that, though, given that it was a Switch release. I think it's good that you're starting with the first two, though. I think it's a good progression to just play them in order, just because certain quality of life things get added later that's harder to go backwards and experience quality of life being taken away, you know? So I think playing one and two first is a good idea. I hope you get back to it, because it is great. I think Pikmin's amazing.
Yeah, I would like to at some point. If it feels like the kind of game that I would probably play in like a Discord call with some people. Maybe some people that are more familiar with the game. And then I'm like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing. What the heck do I do here? And then maybe someone will help if I ask. I don't know. This seems like that kind of game.
So this is a great question I want to ask you then, because it seems like a lot of your content is done in Discord calls with a lot of people, to my understanding, at least on the extended channel, from what I've observed. How much is gaming integrated with how much is screen sharing your game integrated into your gaming, would you say? Because I notice a lot more and more people are doing that. It's not something that I do a ton, but I'm curious how often you do that, and why that's something that you do, where you share games with others, even if they're single player.
Honestly, most of the time I don't. Most of the time when I am screen sharing a game, it's either because we're all just bored in a call and we need something to do or look at, so I'll just share my screen and we'll joke around or whatever.
So,
or again,
but
if
even
it's for
that
a video.
is something, right?
Yeah.
Even that is like, you're finding enjoyment just talking to friends while you play, where you might as well throw it up on stream, right? That's like a cultural thing in a way, right? And I'm so fascinated by the idea, because it's not something that my circle has really done much. Yet I see it all the time in calls. People are just live streaming single player games. Is there enjoyment in that? Like in saying like, oh my gosh, check out this thing I'm doing, you know? Or, because I imagine no one's watching 100% of the time, right?
It's just kind of you can kind of be compared to some people as like background noise, essentially, or like it could also be compared to like live streaming in front of an audience, except that audience is just your friends.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and that's the worst part about live streaming, is that when you first start, is no one's popping up in chat, so it's talking to a wall anyway. Great way to get that sensation of live streaming is just do it to your friends, you know. Oh, that's interesting. I don't know. I find it fascinating, like a fly on the wall, or Squidward looking through the window blinds at like what are the cool kids doing these days? You know, what they're streaming games? Whoa. I not something that needed to derail the whole podcast. I was just curious. That's it for our main headlines. I did want to quickly go over some interesting announcements about games coming to the Switch in Switch 2, just because there happen to be a lot of them this week. Starting off with the System Shock remake is coming to Switch 1 and Switch 2 in 2025, even though there's only a couple months left. That is kind of interesting. I've never played System Shock, and I probably won't play this one. But for all of you out there who want to try out the remake, it could be coming to a portable platform for you. There was also the Fallout 4 Anniversary Edition announced for the Switch 2 to come out in 2026. That one's kind of a bigger release because Fallout is considered a AAA game, and anytime a AAA game is announced for Switch 2, people are like, how's it going to be, though? How's it going to run? We'll see. But Switch 2, Fallout 4 came out ages ago. Hopefully the Switch 2 can run it relatively fine. So that's good to be optimistic about. Assassin's Creed Shadows also coming to the Switch 2 in 2026. There's also Elden Ring coming to the Switch 2 in 2026, which is the delayed year, as it was originally supposed to come out this year. They want to take some extra time to optimize per a public announcement they made, which is good. We want games to be optimized for the Switch. Some people could say that is a little bit concerning just because Elden Ring is also a relatively older game at this point. But I also feel like people were not expecting Elden Ring to run incredibly well on the Switch 2, even though it is older, because it is a behemoth of a game. So I think it's understandable that they need to take some more time to actually optimize it. We'll see. I won't get it on, that won't be the platform I get it on anyway, so I can't really complain if it doesn't run well. But that it should be coming out sometime in 2026. And that segues into the next thing I want to talk about, games that we are excited to play, whether on Nintendo systems or not. Sten, are there any upcoming releases that you are excited about, whether it be this year or next year, whether it be for the Switch or otherwise, anything that is really piquing your fancy right now?
Finally, I can talk about a game that I have been incredibly excited about since it was first announced. It is very rare that a new game for a new series or franchise or whatever is announced and it hooks me immediately, but I have found a game that has done it. It is an indie 3D platformer called Homepage, spelled Paige. The art style for it is adorable. It's based off of like 90s internet.
Interesting.
And you play as a little character who lives in a recycling bin and is trying to get out.
No kidding.
It's got like movement-based platforming, kind of like Sonic, for example. Okay. But it seems really interesting to me. I backed it on Kickstarter because the Kickstarter just opened, like, I want to say like less than a week ago at this point. Okay. And they have like a demo out right now that's just to show off the gameplay. And I tried it, and yeah, it's pretty fun so far. The one thing about it that I'm a little hesitant on is it's very story driven, which is fine. But that's not the part I'm hesitant about. The part that I'm a little iffy about is that it's being released episodically, which is really weird for a 3D platformer, if you ask me.
Yeah. It's got to be the first episodic 3D platformer ever.
Yeah, probably. So, like, this is more like a preference thing, but, like, preferably when I get a game, I would prefer it, even if it takes longer for the game to be done and released.
Right.
I would prefer it if the whole package is just right there.
Yeah.
So I can just play it from start to finish.
Right. That's been the tough part with Deltarune. I played the initial first chapter when that was released. I played the second chapter. Once 3 and 4 were released earlier this year, I was like, you know what? I just think at this point I should just wait for the game to come out because, it's too much of a tease to get into just 1 or 2 chapters, and then wait a couple years for the next ones. Making Deltarune highly anticipated for me because I do love the Undertale series, but for a platformer specifically, that's a very interesting decision because platformers are not usually known for their overarching narratives. So to split it up into multiple episodes, it makes me wonder if maybe the narrative is going to be a lot stronger in this platformer than others. Maybe could be the benefit of that. But yeah, I agree. Generally, I like to have all my games or my whole game at one time as opposed to over periods of time.
Yeah,
I also love 3D platformers, and indie games have been doing some interesting ones of those here and there. So I'm this could be something that very much piques my interest.
definitely.
Anything else that you wanted to mention about games coming out?
There's another indie game that I am kind of curious about. It is
Uh-huh.
based off of, it's kind of inspired off of like Kingdom Hearts, especially, but also a little bit of like
Okay.
Jack and Daxter. Apparently, it's called Dusk Fade,
Interesting.
and
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie to you, it's hard to really explain without like showing it, but it is like for an indie game, it is gorgeous.
Okay.
Like it is kind of impressive. I guess there's a demo out for it now, but I haven't been able to get around to like trying it myself. But it is
Gotcha.
definitely intriguing me.
Okay. Were you a Kingdom Hearts fan before this?
That's the interesting thing. No, not really.
Okay. Okay.
I tried the first one. I thought it was just kind of okay, but I haven't really gone back to it since.
But do you like the vibe of Kingdom Hearts? I guess that's the question. Because
I
I've
would
never played it either. But like when I see the Kingdom Hearts vibe, I'm like, that's a pretty cool vibe.
I can kind of generally vibe with it. I think the thing that was kind
Uh-huh.
of pushing me off was I guess I wasn't a huge fan of like the movement. I guess I've heard like from
Gotcha.
Kingdom Hearts fans that the second one is generally better,
Okay.
but again, since it's so like story driven, I feel like I gotta play the first one before I can understand what's going on in the second.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. So this one that's inspired by gameplay of Kingdom Hearts, is it also like it has RPG elements like that or
I don't know about like most of what I've seen is the trailer, which didn't really
uh-huh.
show much about like RPG elements, but I also wouldn't be surprised if there was because you just
Sure.
one look at the trailer and you can tell it is very much inspired by Kingdom Hearts just by the way that the character moves.
Right, right. Oh yeah, that is very interesting. Yeah, I indie games are killing it right now. I like this I like the idea that indie game is kind of doing what Nintendo don't sometimes these days, you know. It a lot of old school stuff about Nintendo that I love feels like is now being regurgitated through the indie game machine. And I'm all here for it. All that spark and joy and childhood wonder that I used to feel. I feel like I can feel it the most through indie games. So I think that's uh, it's understandable for that to be some of the most anticipated stuff right now. Uh, as for games, I'm excited about. There was this old school game on the GameCube, PlayStation 2 era called Time Splitters, a really good first person shooter, incredible. They had 3 of them, all of them were great, and essentially EA bought out Free Radical, and then Free Radical got pushed to another company, and basically the studio is both dead and the rights are all over the place. But there has been a community of people who have been developing a fan made version of the game to bring back content from all 3 games for its multiplayer shooter to release as a free to play online game. And I've been following this project just for a few years now, but it's been in development all the way back to 2013, having ups and downs with their development history, getting permission to make the game, and then having their contact being lost and the rights being shifted over, and they have to get permission again. But it's finally coming out in like 30 days or something from this podcast. They have a countdown, counting down on their website for Time Splitters Rewind. That's the name of the game. Free to play, online, done completely out of love for the game, and mostly with permission from those who hold the rights. So let's hope that it stays up and people can actually experience it. Um, and then hopefully no one eventually looks at it and is like, wait, why aren't we making money off this? Shut this down. We'll see. But this is a big passion of love. The Time Splitters Rewind Discord server has been showing nothing but hard work in all of their publications and announcements, and I'm extraordinarily excited that it's actually going to happen soon. So very
Awesome.
cool. I can't wait for that. That was announced like yesterday, I think, in honor of the anniversary of the original Time Splitters. So I'm really excited.
I'd
And
always
that
heard of Time Splitters,
oh
but
yeah,
I never
I
really knew much about it.
it's tough. It's hard to play nowadays. They don't, it's not on any virtual console or anything like that. But it's truly tremendous. It's from some leftover developers who were originally working on the Perfect Dark game. They some of them migrated over to Free Radical and started making Time Splitters. So the feeling of shooting feels really good. It's a very fast-paced shooter. And it's also so bonkers in terms of visual design. Like it's characters from different time periods. So you have like a disco dude, you have a person from space, you have aliens, you have monkeys and bears that run around. It's so bonkers and wild and amazing. And I'm so glad to see it actually coming out now after such a long development period. And yeah, that's I think that's gonna do it for our show, unless there was anything else you wanted to add.
I don't think so.
Well, there you have it, guys. That has been the Pat Nat Cast. Thank you guys so much for listening. I do want to remind everyone that we are available on all of your favorite podcasting platforms if you want to listen to our audio versions there, unless you already are, in which case I applaud you. And of course, you can also find us on YouTube if you want to listen to the YouTube version like a psycho like myself. So thank you guys. And Sten, thank you for joining. If anyone would like to figure out where you have your content, where can you redirect them to?
I'd say mainly my YouTube channel. Probably be the main thing. I have Twitter. I only really use it for promotional purposes. And I have Blue Sky. Have Blue Sky. That's about it.
Right. There you go. You see, if you announce that you have Twitter, you then have to quickly announce after. But I also have Blue Sky.
Yeah, Blue Sky is what I would mainly use. Yeah, that's where I just kind of spout my mind whatever I feel like posting.
For sure. It's worth mentioning you have 2 channels though, the Sten Extended. Yeah. So if people are like, this guy never uploads, there is that second channel where there's a lot of great content there as well. So.
Yeah, the second channel is mainly just a place that I just kind of like, whatever I feel like doing, I'm just gonna throw it on there without worrying about numbers or anything. Sure. That was the one I don't take it seriously.
Any big projects you want to talk about in the works?
By being as vague as possible, I will say that there is a reason why I am playing every Sonic game, and I will leave it at that.
Okay. See, I was trying to kind of throw a bone towards the other big project that you were working on, but because I don't know if we've actually really talked about that so much. But
well, of course, there's the indie game one, which should be out hopefully very, very soon. Yes, I figured it wasn't what I didn't need to bring it up since we already mentioned it in the beginning. So
no, you gotta plug it every chance you get.
Oh, of course, Go watch it.
Yes, there you go. For charity, 100 creators. I happen to be one of them, so I have stakes in telling you guys this too. You guys should definitely check it out when it comes out. And I think that's gonna do it. So thank you guys so much, and we'll see you in the next episode. Take care, and so long.